Welcome, everyone. My name is Laura Kaler. I'm the director of the South Dakota Grasslands Initiative. The purpose of the South Dakota Grasslands Initiative is to serve as a communication and collaboration hub here in South Dakota for anyone who has anything to do with the grasslands in the state, for whichever purpose. We recognize everyone has a little bit different perspective and mission, but we're glad we can all come here together and communicate about what we're doing. So today we'll start off with some updates about what the collaboration piece of the Grasslands Initiative, our work groups, have been doing. These are pretty high level share outs, but just kind of give you a chance to see the types of projects that they're working on. Then we have Darling Creek Ranch here. They are the Leopold Award recipient this year, and so we're really excited to learn about their operation. So they'll be visiting with us about what they do and taking questions as well. Then we move into our partner updates, where different partners who are on the agenda will each have about 3 minutes, give or take, to share out a little bit about what they have going on. If there's enough time at the end, we can also add on more to the agenda. And then we'll end the call with breakout rooms. Well, I absolutely welcome anyone to have their screen on and being visually here as well. Know that if you do need to keep your screen off and just listen in, that's absolutely welcome. But then we would encourage you that when we move into the breakout rooms, if you can turn on your cameras, then it helps with the discussion aspect of things. So with that, the other thing to know is this is recorded and it's available on our YouTube channel later. So if you missed anything or want to share it out, we encourage that as well. So just a little bit of housekeeping things with the Grasslands Initiative. Please know that the Grasslands Initiative is made up of formal partners, which are different entities that sign on. These can be businesses, operations, agencies, organizations. If your group would like to become a formal partner, you can fill out the form on the top of the agenda. In a minute, I'll flip over my screen share for those who haven't seen it. And then if you haven't already, we also encourage you to fill out the interest form. A lot of you might have just signed up your email to get on our email list, which is great. But if you fill out the interest form, that helps us better. We can tag you on our email thing, so that way we can make sure that you're getting, if you want frequent updates on partner events, you're getting them. If you're not wanting that, then you're not on the email list for that. If you're really interested in how you can support the education work group, you're on the list for that. So if you fill out that form, that helps us better direct what types of communications we should put down for you. Next thing to know is that we do have our quarterly partner newsletters as well. The new summer newsletter, we're going to send it out a little bit later just because we don't want it hitting everyone's inboxes during the 4th of July time. So if you can get your submissions to us by July 2nd, we'll be putting those together and sending them out in more like mid-early July. Last piece to know is that we do have an outreach communications contractor now that's helping us with some different things. So if you have something that you'd like shared on social media, we do have a Facebook and Instagram page now. If you aren't following those, you can email those to sdgicoms@sdgrass.org, and she'll make sure those get on the website and shared out. I think those are the main things. If you were at the South Dakota Grasslands Summit, or if you missed it and wanted to see some recordings, the recordings are on our YouTube channel. We're still missing a few of them, so if you hit subscribe, you'll get updates as the new ones come out. And with that, I think we're ready to roll into our work group updates. So our first one is the Grasslands Outreach. And I think, do we have Whitney down for that? Great. Whitney, if you want to take it away.
Yep. I'm just going to copy and paste some links in the chat here to everything that I'm going to be talking about.
Great. And then I'll move those to the bottom of the agenda too, for anyone who wants to reference them later.
Great, thank you, Laura. So I have a few things to talk about. The first thing I wanted to share is that on May 5th, the South Dakota Grasslands Initiative hosted a digital marketing webinar, and that was led by Buzz Clute and Barrett Self of Growing Resilience. And they just shared a lot of their tips and tricks on how they've been using social media and other digital tools like their website and newsletters to reach audiences and share stories. And they had great success. They've got like 28,000 followers on Facebook. So some of the key things that popped up that they talked about was that they use social media as a front door to kind of spark interest. And then they use that to direct people to deeper content on the website. And that was all part of their digital funnel, where they're trying to catch attention with social media, move people to the website, and then move them to their email list from like a platform that has no control to a platform where they have control. They also suggested that you should experiment regularly to see what works and what doesn't work. They also do weekly email newsletters that are written in a first person perspective from Buzz. And those are kind of more like a pleasure reading. There's no call to action there. And with that, Buzz is using AI to kind of help with that. And they talked about some other ways that they're using AI to reduce time and cost, but also the guardrails that they're putting on it to make sure that it's correct content and it's being used responsibly. And the biggest chunk of this webinar was how they're using metrics to drive their content and practices. So Barrett had 6 top practices for social media that he felt like were really important. So the first was a short form video, and that's less than 75 seconds, but they have found that actually less than 30 seconds does quite well. The topics of interest are based on analytics. They try to create curiosity in 3 seconds. They use egg keywords and longer descriptions because that's how the algorithm works now. And they encourage comments in their posts to increase the lifespan. And then they always close with a call to action. And those can be like driving traffic to the website or commenting to start a discussion. So there's a lot more in there. It was really great. And you can find the full recording on the link that I posted in the chat. That's on the SD South Dakota Grasslands Initiative YouTube page. Next, the outreach group is working with Northern Great Plains joint venture in supporting the Grasslands Triple Crown gravel bike races in South Dakota. So there are 3 bike races. There is one in Fort Pierre on July 18th. The Thunderhawk Wide Open is in Lemon on August 15th. And the Wheel to Wall is in Wall on September 26th. So these rides are open to anyone, and they offer cyclists a great way to experience grasslands. And the link is in the website for more information on the races. And then if anyone is in the area that would be willing to come and volunteer at a booth and help out at one of the races, that would be great. So please contact Laura or Lisa Burrill, whose email I also dropped in the chat for more information on that. We also wanted to remind people about the 46.9 for the Grasslands initiative going on. Make sure to get outside, log your miles. I put the link in the chat where you need to go to log your miles. And if you'd like to spread the word or promote that in your community, South Dakota Grasslands Initiative has flyers that we can mail out to you. So just, again, probably reach out to Laura for that, and we're happy to help support you there. And then the last link that I put in the chat is to the PPJV website. And if you go to the resources page and scroll all the way down to the bottom, there are some graphics there for everyone to use. They're unbranded, but they're just good for the herd, good for the bird saying. So there's some PNGs, and then there's also a spinning gift for like digital marketing. And I plan to add a few more on there. So reach out if you would like any of those printed or anything, or if you're having trouble downloading them, but please use them, please share them, and let me know if there's anything I can do to improve those. So I think that's it for our outreach group.
Perfect. Thanks for all that, Whitney. Appreciate your summary of the webinar. And like she said, it's available on the YouTube channel if anyone wants to get insight into the strategic thinking through all of that marketing. And for the 46.9 for the grasslands, part of it is about getting people outside, and part of it's just using this America's 250th anniversary to raise awareness of the grasslands. So I have plenty of really nice flyers. Happy to mail them out to anyone. If you have coffee shops or outdoor recreation type of venues that you think would be a great spot to put them up, let me know and I can put some in the mail to you. With that, next update is the education work group from David Parker.
Hey everyone, this is David Parker with the South Dakota Game Fish and Parks Outdoor Campus in Sioux Falls. The education work group has been busy, got a couple different things to share on. First, as you're probably all aware, the Grassland Coalition planner is out. And with that, just wanted to remind folks that this year we added something unique to it. We've got a set of activities that anyone can download for free. So if you look at the Grassland Coalition Planner, you'll see a QR code that they can use to download those activities, and there's an activity that aligns with each month, and each month they were also focusing on a specific topic. Otherwise, they can simply just Google where good things grow, and that's another way to find those activities, or there's also a flyer that Laura made that's getting posted in different locations that has a QR code to that activity list as well. Further, the group has been working on a prescribed fire curriculum, so we've been focusing on creating a 5-lesson fire curriculum for high school students. And so the hope is that this set of lessons will get integrated into high school classes where it makes sense, and we'll just give kind of an overview of what fire ecology is, what prescribed fires are, why they're important to the landscape. Right now, we've got the lessons are broken into lesson 1 being the history of fire in South Dakota and fire ecology, lesson 2 being prescribed fires versus wildfires, lesson 3 being understanding fire and its interactions, lesson 4 being fire in South Dakota's landscape, and then lesson 5 being the benefits of fire. So we assigned them out to the group, and now everybody's working on building those lessons. 2 other announcements. May 16th is Bird Bash at Bear Butte. If you'd like to volunteer for that program, there will be educational activities and booths. I don't know who the contact is for them to get a hold of Laura.
You can get a hold of me, and then Janice Brokovanich is probably a great contact to go with as well.
Perfect. And then the last one is May 31st is going to be the Garden Discovery Festival. Carter Sargent with Peasants Forever is looking for soup cans to utilize for that event, and ideally those soup cans are washed out before they're given to him.
And he's over in the Sioux Falls area.
Yes.
Great. All right. Our next update then is from the Producers and Programs work group. Adam, he got very little heads up that he's doing this, so thank you, Adam, for taking on the work group update.
No worries. So we have a few updates from this end. The first of which is the producer interview project. So the idea is there's going to be about 50 ranchers and farmers, local producers throughout the state of South Dakota that we are going to interview. And the main focus is to try and get an idea of why they do or do not use specific conservation programs. Just trying to get the feelers out for how involved they are with either their local NRCS offices or GFP, private lands biologists, and trying to get a sense of where that's at throughout the state. So this is done through the Nebraska Bureau of Sociological Research, and they're going to be picking these back up this coming summer, and might do another round later this year as well. The second thing is the South Dakota Bankers Association. They've been working with them to connect with agricultural lenders to engage them with more like things like webinars and other conservation programs, why they're a good tool to use and help engage them in this side of things and improve communication with the ag lender side. And then the third thing is continuing the Conservation District collaboration project that's been ongoing as well. So yeah, that's all I have from my end.
Perfect. Thanks, Adam. Then AJ, are you here with us for the Grassland Conservation Strategy Work Group update?
You bet. Yeah, thanks, Laura. A brief update on the conservation strategy work group. We've been busy since our last call back in January. A few of us have gone out to DC and talked with quite a few different congressional members and agencies about a new CRP program that we've been calling the Working Lands CRP program, and essentially what it is, and many of you on the call may have been on phone calls where we've been talking about it. But essentially, we're asking for 10 to 20 million acres outside of the current CRP cap, which is capped right now at 27 million acres. So we're asking for an additional 10 to 20 million acres be designated for a working land CRP, which would target marginal cropland across the United States, not just here in the Midwest, but across the United States, to get planted back to perennial cover, and then require grazing as a management tool. We feel like that's been one of the big things that the CRP program has missed out on, is using grazing as an effective management tool. So we've been having a lot of good conversations and getting a lot of traction. We've had a few different kind of starts and stops, but right now we are working pretty closely with Senator Thune's office, and we've given them some bullet points in order to take to the Senate Legislative Council to draft legislation that would become a marker bill. And then that will go before the Senate Ag Committee if we're able to get support from Senator Thune's office after the legislation's been drafted. I guess you'll probably be hearing more about that as things progress. You may also see it called the Ranch Act. We've been working with a number of production ag groups, both in the farming and cattle industry, and they've got some policy on their books that opposes any additional CRP acres, and so we wanted to make sure that it was pretty obvious that this wasn't just about increasing CRP acres, but we're calling it the Ranch Act, Rebuilding America's National Cow Herd, and really focusing on food security, domestic beef production, and we're at historically low cow numbers right now, and if we're going to grow the cow herd, it's going to require more grazing acres to support that cow herd. And I think that will make some of these different trade organizations that have historically opposed CRP expansion take another look at it, and maybe not necessarily oppose it, but but stay on the sidelines anyways. But we've had a lot of good conversations with those folks as well. Some of them are even, realizing that their CRP policy is outdated and needs attention. And there's some of those conversations going on internally with some of those organizations as well. So that's been a positive result of our work. But yeah, it continues to move forward. Hopefully, have draft legislation here in the next few weeks, and then it sounds like Senate might potentially take up a farm bill here sometime soon. The House has passed its version of the farm bill, and now the Senate's going to start working on theirs, and we'll see where things go. But yeah, definitely a lot of good momentum and a lot of good conversations that are taking place, and keep an eye out for documents and other news about the Ranch Act and Working Lands CRP as it continues to move forward. The Conservation Strategy Work Group is also working on Outdoor Heritage Fund. Some of you might have heard about that at the South Dakota Grasslands Summit back in March. But we're taking a look at some of the information that we gathered from the summit, as well as doing some diligence with other states who have similar programs. And we're currently in the middle of an election season, and so things are moving, I think, at the right speed, but hopefully have something to share with the group more broadly at the next quarterly call. I think that's it, Laura.
Thanks, AJ. All right, and then one of the things, so like AJ said, at the South Dakota Grassland Summit, we had a forum on the Heritage Fund and have been building off that. We also had a forum time that focused in on how conservation districts and partners can better collaborate. Something that's come out of that is we're developing a webinar series. So we're going to have webinars in July, September, November, and January that help the partners share out about what they do. So if you're part of an organization that works with or would like to work with conservation districts in the state, let us know and we'll get you on those webinars. And then conservation district employees will be sending you out information as well, so you can learn about the different partners and ways that maybe you can collaborate. So that's another thing to watch for. With that, I'm excited to introduce Dan and Danessa Anderson from Darling Creek Ranch. You've probably seen quite a bit in the past month about their operation, but I know that I am very interested in learning more about them, and I hope you are too. So they're going to share with us today a little bit of background on Darling Creek Ranch.
Thanks, Laura. Appreciate the offer to be on this venue today. I'm Dan Anderson. I'm co-owner, manager of Darling Creek Ranch.
I'm Danessa Anderson. I am also a co-owner, but I'm the livestock manager for Darling Creek Ranch.
So just a brief history of how this ranch started. My folks purchased it in 1959 and raised 5 kids on this ranch. So I'm fortunate to be the one that's still here. Some of our goals that we've set up since we started Darling Creek Ranch back in 2018 with our 4 daughters is to improve the carrying capacity on this ranch and improve the soil health, the wildlife, and our bottom line. So we're a cow-calf yearling cattle operation, along with we run ewes and lambs. So when my dad bought this place,
visual yet if you did pull it up.
Oh, sorry.
Really nice visual, so we want everyone to see it.
We can see the Google Earth, or I
Oh, you
can.
can? Oh my goodness, it's me. If you're struggling like me, click the Dan Anderson tab on top. Perfect.
Oh,
Okay. When Dad purchased this ranch, it was 5 pastures of deeded ground and then 1 pasture of federal ground, which was an LUP project, land utilization project. It's now known as National Grasslands. That's the pasture on your far right. And then as he moved on, we got a Great Plains contract and started cross fencing. And all of our cross fences are either 3 or 4 wire high tensile electric fence. So we made the 6 pastures into 14, with an exception on that federal ground that they wouldn't let us do electric fence at that time, and we had to put in barbed wire there. But and then we moved on to a equip contract, and we added some more pastures to that, and 15 miles of pipeline, and 13 water tanks or water sources to get well water to all of these pastures, so we could better manage everything that we were doing out there to improve our carrying capacity. Now, with that being said, in 10 years, we've increased the carrying capacity on this ranch by 70%. Now, this year, the Forest Service and the Grand River Grazing Association have allowed us to increase by 87% on the federal ground, those 3 pastures to the far right. And we cut all of these pastures into smaller paddocks with polywire. So in effect, by the end of the year, we've probably got somewhere between 120 and 150 different paddocks throughout the year. So it's just all the partners that we've worked with to improve this place have been great. There's only one spot that we did some cross fencing on our own to do our initial mob grazing. I started that by going to Pat Guptill's place on a tour and seeing how he was mob grazing old CRP ground to make it more productive and get more value out of it than farming it or being in CRP. So I used my own money to make 3 permanent pastures in a quarter, and we used a drag line on that to water every paddock. After that, we found that we could use a shallow berry with quick connect couplers, and that's what we did in the next segment that we mob grazed in. So with that, I'll let Danessa tell you about how we handle the sheep part of our operation.
So like Dan said, we do mob grazing with our ewes and lambs while we're lambing, and on the left side of your screen, you can see there's a bunch of strips way over there, and that's where we initially started pasture lambing our singles in 2015. Okay, go ahead. So we utilize ultrasound. We have a lady come ultrasound for us in March, and she determines who's having twins and who's having singles. The singles get the pleasure of lambing out on pasture in nice green grass, and then the twins go through the shed. And we get to move those singles every other day until their lambs are about a week old, and then they start moving every day. We move the drop bunch ahead of the ewes and lambs, so they're on fresh pasture when they do lamb. In the bottom left-hand corner is one of those quick connects that we use for our water tanks. Go ahead. So we've got a little video of the ewes moving into a new paddock. It takes about just a few minutes to move. This is about 250 head, and they're about 2-week-old ewes and lambs together. They move like this every time. It doesn't take much. They take maybe 2 or 3 moves to figure out that it's new sweet grass on the other side. You can see that the lambs balk at that poly wire because they respect it at that young of age already. Usually you don't have to do too much, and then after everyone gets through, I'll go back and grab their tanks and drag their tanks into their new paddock. Yep. By doing the intensive grazing and moving so quickly, it has helped our wildlife as well. We get more leks every year, it seems like. In the top left-hand corner is a lek, and that is the paddock that cows and calves were in, just calving right alongside these birds. They left them alone. They respected their space, and it worked great. The little fawn is in the middle of a calving paddock as well. Those deer really enjoy sticking with cows and calves. It keeps the predators down and all that. We also have lots of flowers, wildflowers, and we let them go to seed and everything, but the pollinators are really enjoying having the space and letting those alfalfa plants flower every year and not have to try to find anywhere else to find some flowers for us. But
So if anybody's got any questions, that's just kind of a brief overview.
And if you want to submit a question anonymously, you can directly send it to me and I won't even attach your name. Dan, while people are putting in questions, is there any information on, is the tour for your Leopold Award planned yet? Or if it's still in development, that's fine.
Judge, do you want to handle that?
August 20th is the date, I believe.
Great, thanks.
And you want to make sure you get there early because he's going to have guards out because there's a lot of traffic on his road. So,
All right, question in the chat is, what is your favorite season?
Mine is spring. I just love the new growth of both plant and animal.
mine is definitely right now. We're just starting to lamb at the end of the week here, and I've got cows and calves on the ground, so the perfect time of year right now.
Okay, I'm always curious about, after setting up more of an intensive grazing system, how long did it take to be able to confidently increase your carrying capacity?
I waited 5 years. I could have done it sooner. I just was a little hesitant, but it took me 5 years before I did increase. And we increased slowly because we our mob grazing was just in those 2 areas, and then our managed intensive grazing just kept growing every year. When we could see the improvement that the response that the grass did by giving it so much rest, we just kept doing more and more. And so it took us about 5 years. We didn't jump into this all at once. You know, we didn't come up to 120 paddocks all at once. So it took, but about 5 years before we got to, I guess, about 60%. And by the 6th year, we increased 100%. So we have, some years we have run double the numbers, but on a 10-year average, it's been about 70%. Our numbers fluctuate by the moisture we have. So.
All right. What were your biggest challenges along the way to where you're at now?
It was probably all mental. Being able to put everything out of my mind that other people were telling me you can't do, and looking at it and seeing what the ground and the grass was telling me that I could do. I think that was probably my biggest challenge.
And I think, Josh, did you have your hand up with a question?
I was just trying to open the chat. I didn't have a question.
Okay. So what recommendations would you have for somebody who's also facing that same challenge of like the mental barriers?
I would say just have your goals and look at them, and don't listen to the people that want to put you down. It's usually the people that are closest to you that tell you it can't be done. And talk to people that have done it. I mean, there's enough people out there that have done this now that I think, especially the Grassland Coalition has a lot of mentors. And I think that's really awesome to have those people available to talk to and make use of them.
The next question kind of builds off that. If you've got anything else to add about the social pressures you've had to overcome.
Yeah, social pressures, I finally decided I don't need to listen to anybody. I just let it go in one ear and out the other. I don't care what my neighbors say. It doesn't matter to me. They aren't paying my bills, so I guess I just, whatever they want to say about it, they can. It doesn't matter to me.
Well, hopefully they'll come out in August and see for themselves. Can you speak a little bit? Have you tried running your sheep and cattle together?
Oh, we have back in 2000. Well, it was before that. It was probably in the mid 90s. We lost a bull. We used to run our bulls and our bucks together in the wintertime, and we lost a bull. And he was kind of a special bull to us. But anyway, we finally found out he had malignant catarrhal fever, which sheep carry, and it's deadly to bovine. They also, it's one of the diseases the buffalo people really hate. But sheep are not the only carriers. It doesn't affect sheep at all. They're just a carrier, just a host. But deer and antelope and rabbits, and I think beaver also carry it. So we decided never to run our sheep with our cattle again. And then we've gone to trying to follow the cows with the sheep immediately, or vice versa type of deal. And that never seemed to work. When we started out, we were 60 days after the cattle we run through with the sheep. So now with our lower numbers, we kind of cut back a couple of years ago because of the drought, but we're running sheep on a particular parcel of ground for the year, taking everything off with the sheep, and then another parcel of ground, just cows. And then we try and flip that around the next year. And we're not sold on either the 60-day or the annual deal yet. They both kind of fit us okay, I guess, right now. We're just a little low on cow numbers. Our goal was to run about 50% cows and 50% sheep as far as animal unit numbers, but we're a little low on cows right now.
Next question, why do you think more producers don't adopt practices such as yours? So for the neighbors and others that are seeing what you're doing, seeing that it's working, why aren't they adopting it?
That's interesting. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they were talking about no-till drilling and no-till drills. And the first no-till drill was built in 1956. Now that just about tipped me over. That's 70 years ago. And it's just come into, good practice now. It takes about 70 years. And the gentleman said, well, livestock owners, they cut that in about half. So just think of that. That's 35 years. So in 35 years, some of the neighbors might start doing something like this. But it's not something that happens overnight because there's peer pressure. People submit to that peer pressure, They don't want somebody to make fun of them because they're doing something different.
The next
And
question. Oh, no,
I
go
was
ahead.
just gonna say, I think it's also, everyone hears that we move cattle every day and they think it takes like hours. It takes us like 5 minutes to move them every day. So they think it's a lot of labor when really it's not. And that's just a step that's hard to take.
Next question is, were Jim and Nora still active when you started intensive grazing? And if so, what was their reaction? Perhaps starting off by letting us know who they are.
When we had the last Great Plains contract and went to 14 pastures, we were moving about every 2 weeks through that process. And Dad was he was on the Soil Conservation Board for 48 years, so he was pretty conscientious of conservation stuff, and he was okay with doing this stuff. But it was 2 years after we had that implemented, my mom made the comment to me one day, this ranch has never had this much grass ever. And that was a pretty big boost for me. I mean, she noticed that we were raising more grass because of our rotational grazing, and we were moving every 2 weeks to every 3 weeks, and at that time I didn't know how much improvement you could make by cutting those days down to 1 or 2 day moves. We'd like to be at a 3-day move is where we'd like to be, especially on our native ground. On our tame pastures, 1 to 2 day moves is about right to get the hoof action and everything to work just right for us.
Next one, and maybe the last one for now, but what are your biggest concerns for the future of your ranch or the future of ranching in general?
I don't know if I have any major concerns because I think the next generation coming up is going to be awesome at taking care of this soil and this earth. I was impressed when I went to the soil health or the Grassland Coalition meeting in Rapid this year, that how many young people were there. That impressed me. I go to a lot of meetings, and it's mostly us old guys that go to them. But I was impressed that there were so many young people, and I think we're in good hands. They're gonna take this and run with it. So,
any other questions? If not, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to learn more about your operation and pick your brain today. This has been really interesting, and we're looking forward to learning more about your operation between now and August 20th and beyond.
thank you.
Thank you very much. Alrighty, with that, we're going to move into our partner update time. So technically our meeting goes until 3. We'll see how long, we'll try to be concise. So the partner updates are really designed to help people get a tidbit of information You're welcome to put resources in the chat box so they can do a little bit more digging or follow up with you if they want to learn more. Don't feel like you need to set a timer for 2-3 minutes, but just know that's kind of the way that these are designed. If you would like to be added into the bottom of the partner updates, if there's time, just send me a message in the chat and we would love to do that if it fits. The whole point is to learn from each other. So we want to fit in as many as we can. We're also giving you time to teach us things. So with that, I'm really excited about our first one. We're going to learn a little bit about conservation districts. At these collaboration meetings, we've been recognizing that the partners don't always fully understand South Dakota conservation districts. So I believe Angela is going to be joining us today to share out about South Dakota conservation districts. So with that, I'll let Angela, or if it's Caitie, take it away.
Okay, this is Angela. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, wasn't quite sure. First of all, it's sort of nice to hear from Dan Anderson because I'm the one who asked about Jim and Nora. Jim and Nora were two of my mentors when I started first with the conservation districts. Jim was on the board and Nora, of course, created Sammy Soil Saver, and those are some wonderful memories at that point. About conservation districts, as I hope many of you know, there are 68 in the state and they cover every single square inch of the state, including towns, cities, tribal lands, etc. Everything's encompassed in a conservation district. Each conservation district is governed by a 5-member, generally elected board of supervisors. And as you may have guessed, having conservation districts across the state, there's a lot of variety amongst the issues they deal with. But one concerning one right now is and this is going to sound weird to a lot of you, but in the last few months, we've had 5 formal complaints come to the conservation districts about headstones being buried by blowing dirt. And as you can imagine, if people's headstones are being buried, there's a lot of emotion attached to that. And we are seeing a lot of blowing dirt. If you looked at KELOLAND News a few weeks ago, there was a multi-car pileup that was caused by blowing dirt coming off of some land that was absolutely black and had been worked several times. And so that's another potential conservation complaint. The conservation districts have no legal ordinance authority, but the state has given them the authority to deal with blowing dust in highly erodible lands and then soil erosion, soil and wind erosion on a complaint basis. And then we can require them to implement a conservation plan. Of course, as you know, that takes a long time to do, but we are seeing more and more of those complaints, especially this year. Caitie's going to talk to you about the locally led local work groups, DCN, that we're working on. Big process within the districts, trying to make sure we get that local input to help us identify the problems. Right now, of course, you're going to see a lot of the conservation districts in the field, planting trees, planting grass, doing various activities. Conservation districts are the only local unit government in the state of South Dakota that has no taxing authority. So we have to rely on our enterprise operations to carry out our responsibilities, as well as any funding sources we can find to carry out programs. They also have broad powers. We have a PowerPoint that we would be willing to let you all look through. It's pretty much one of the introductory ones we gave at the State Technical Committee last year, or in September, about what conservation districts are and what we have a very broad authority and powers and duties under that. It's, as you recall, the conservation districts were created through a letter from President Roosevelt to the governors, encouraging them to create conservation districts to be the local representative for the federal conservation efforts too. And South Dakota's conservation districts came into being on February 27th, 1935. So we've been around 1937, sorry. We've been around a long time and we've been working at this a long time and we're always looking for new partners. I don't know what else you want to hear from me. Oh, we got our area meetings are coming up in June, the first 2 weeks of June, second and third week of June. And we invite partners to come in and sit in on those, as we have the state divided into 7 geographical areas. And you're welcome to come in and sit in on what the conservation districts are talking about, what they're seeing as their issues, and we encourage partners to participate. Caitie, did I give you any time?
No, you're okay. You're good. So I guess I'm gonna talk a little bit about the locally led process, which is basically through our local work groups. And I guess like one of the biggest strengths in conservation of South Dakota is that it starts locally with real people on the ground. It begins with landowners, producers, and community members talking about what they're actually seeing on their land. So things like erosion, water quality problems, invasive species, or habitat loss. Conservation districts help pull those conversations together, and local work groups use that input to figure out what the biggest priorities are in their areas. And those priorities then get passed up to the state level, where they help shape conservation programs, funding decisions, and where technical assistance goes across South Dakota. And then from there, NRCS, conservation districts, and other partners step in to help make things happen, whether that's providing technical support, financial assistance, or just helping get a project off the ground. So the bottom line is that even though a lot of conservation programs are run at the state or federal level, the priorities come from local people identifying local needs. And we also developed a website called the Dakota Conservation Network, which is conservesc.org, which is a place, a hub for conservation programs, services, and people, where people can find the resources they need to get projects done. So that's another resource that conservation districts or partners can use to help people find help for their land and stuff. But yeah, I think that's about it. Don't know if there's any questions or if we can touch base on anything else, I guess.
Any other questions for Caitie? All right. Otherwise, I did put Angela's email in the chat if anyone wants to reach out and get those slides or information on those upcoming meetings around the state too. All right. Thanks, Caitie.
Thank you.
All right. Our next update is on the International Year of Rangelands and Pastoralist display. A smaller display than the full grassland mural, but they go well hand in hand. Stefan is from Washington State University and has been involved in helping South Dakota get one copy of this mural, which if you were at the event in Brookings that they put on for the International Year of Rangelands and Pastoralists, and then Sean also helped that get to the South Dakota FFA event or convention. So it's getting a little bit of space here in South Dakota. I'll let Stefan tell you more about that.
Great. Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Great. Thanks so much. I'm trying to find the chat. There it is. I can post any links. Well, thanks for inviting me, Laura. Yeah, Stephen Bramwell from Washington State University Extension. And there is a slide here that just shows what I'm presenting about. We've been working with a Western...
Or is anyone else seeing his screen share? This time I don't see the option to switch tabs.
Yes.
I can see it.
Well,
My
I
goodness.
can see it.
Okay.
can see
Well, then
something.
carry on. I don't know what my issue is.
No, I know the feeling. Sometimes it's hard bouncing around between screens there. So good luck. Hopefully you can see it. We've worked with a Western region team with funding through SARE to put together these interactive, like multi-sensory exhibits. In this photo, you see one of the panels up close, and then it's kind of articulated. There's three of them. They're kind of a zigzag, and here's the third panel in the background. And so we have put together about 33 of these, and one of them is in South Dakota, like Laura mentioned, and you can work with her on getting a hold of it. They're intended to be something of a interactive element to any kind of an event that you might be putting on for the Grasslands IYRP this year, International Year of Rangelands and Pastoralists. There's a section on it that's customizable for local content, and that's actually the one we're looking at here. This is an event that I held at our county courthouse, and these are just foam core mounted photos, and there's some Velcro stickies. So you swap in your own photos. There's about 5 or 6 12 by 8.5s up here, one bigger one that's like a 12 by 18, and then a couple more down here. We have some of these informational materials that can pop in here, have to do with the themes for the IYRP, health of the ecosystems, habitat, women in ranching or pastoralism, sustainable livelihoods, what you might think of in terms of the overall kind of important topics you hope people learn from these events. There's a couple just web pages here that I wanted to give to you so you can learn more about these on your own. But I'll pop in. Some of the team informational resources are at that first link, so that's more like internal, like to us. So it's got access to different links and resources. This is the public facing page. It's more of a interactive, it's a lot more visually appealing. This was set up through University of Arizona. We worked with them, and it's actually a new collection in their library. So it's a curated library of kind of arts-based educational resources associated with grasslands and rangelands in all their different definitions, but herbaceous plant communities or shrub steppe. So that's a real nice one for the public. So that's linked from the page. And like I said, Laura's been organizing the landing of one of the exhibits that we shipped to her. And so you can connect with her to see when it's available. I'm
And
not going to go ahead.
one question that came into the chat is how
Yes.
portable is this setup? Is
How
it worth
portable?
setting up for one day? Does it come with the informational materials, or do we need to print those?
The materials that come with it are some of these info cards, like this big one. It's a 8.5 by 12, and then these postcards, and then a lot of there's a little pack of fibers that are with it. So the minimum is there. The pictures locally you'd want to have, or you can use a poster that you already have, perhaps of South Dakota grasslands that I can send you the dimensions, that fit in here. But in a pinch, you can do some pretty easy things, and it still looks good. And then it's worth setting up for a day. Yeah, but it is a little bit of a process, but it's only takes about 10 or 15 minutes. Um, it's got a couple of feet that screw in on the bottom, and then each of the panels screws together, top and bottom. Mostly you just need a big enough vehicle to put it in. It's about 7 feet in a box by about 48 inches wide and about a foot, deep in terms of when you lay it down. So it's light. It's fairly light, but it's too big for one person to handle unless you're sliding it on the floor and it actually in the box, and it's actually pretty easy to handle that way. And then just lastly, well, this is actually a link to our news page on the grasslandsproject.org that just shows how many states have them right now and how many kind of people are helping out. So it's a really fun and pretty big team. And this gives you a little sample of the artwork too. That's one big super graphic on one side of the panel that's kind of out and beyond the margins there. This is a little bit like what it looks like set up. There's this hawk on the top, and you see the feet holding it up on the bottom. And this is at actually it's at the LeGrand Public Library in Eastern Oregon. This is kind of what it includes, and I can send this slides to Laura if people want to take a deeper look. And then lastly, we're looking to get some evaluation feedback. And so I wanted to comment on this, and Laura kind of wanted to also. There's some QR codes, and all of the links to the evaluation resources are right here. And it's pretty straightforward. We really just kind of want to make a big QR code of the evaluation accessible where people can go into, or you can print them off. And those files are at the link that I just sent. But here's the key. To really get people to give feedback, you kind of have to print them and hand them out to people, because otherwise they kind of walk by it and they do look and they do learn, but they might not answer the questions. And they're real simple. It's just like, what stood out to you? Did you learn something? Sort of evaluating yourself kind of before you walked up to it and afterwards. And so if you do a kind of a program, just put 5 minutes on the agenda to do a short eval and print them and hand them out. And there's a little more information at that link that I put in terms on where to mail them back to, just in a little mailer. But that's probably all I have time for here. And I'd be happy to answer more questions. later on sometime or via email, and Laura could maybe make that available, but I can put it in the chat too.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes, if you want to throw your email in the chat, and then I'll put that in the notes. And if you're following along on the agenda, you can see that I'm adding the notes in too.
And I'll kind of hope to make it out there to the Grassland gravel ride because then I could help with evaluation, but we'll see if I can fit that on in July 18th there.
Good excuse to come to
That's
South
right.
Dakota. I'm also going to show you, so in gray on this Google Calendar, if anyone's wondering where it's at in the state, I can kind of show you. So it's actually going to be at that Garden Discovery Festival. But this is kind of our informal method we're using to keep track and then able to add some notes about who's bringing it where. So if you're interested in seeing if it might be in your neck of the woods when you have even a community event or something happening that's, you know, a county fair and whatnot, let us know and maybe we can get it your way. All right, back to the agenda then. Thank you very much, Stephen, and on to Maggie for Grasslands Roadmap things.
Thank you so much, Laura. My name is Maggie Hanna. I'm the director of Central Grasslands Roadmap Initiative with Bird Conservancy of the Rockies. I am physically located in Colorado, so I don't have a ton of South Dakota specific updates, but I do want to give a quick shout out to South Dakota in the leadership you all have provided related to gravel biking. We are going to pull off our first grassland and grassland bird focused gravel bike ride in June. And from the help of our partners in North Dakota, we'll also have a Colorado Prairie Day proclamation, which will overlap with National Prairie Day on Saturday, June 6th. Back to the roadmap, a couple of big updates. We have an opportunity. We will be meeting with and sharing the work of the roadmap and the Mexico Working Group, as well as the Indigenous Kinship Circle at the Trilateral Committee for Wildlife and Ecosystem Conservation and Management this week. We continue to try and keep a finger on the pulse of federal Farm Bill policy priorities for the roadmap community that has been endorsing conservation technical assistance. We are hoping to make a few adjustments as the Farm Bill hopefully has a bit of momentum in the Senate. And then I cannot talk and copy and paste at the same time. So in the chat, I have dropped a couple of reminders. One, we are hosting our 2026 Central Grasslands Roadmap Initiative Summit in Chihuahua City, Mexico. We would obviously love to have any partners who are interested in traveling, and we are working on scholarships to help support some travel for producers and partners. That will be November 10th through the 12th. But in light of travel challenges, we are also hosting regional meetings. So huge thanks to South Dakota Grasslands Initiative for hosting a node for us and with us in November. And the node will take place on November 10th. Then I have also included a link to the spatial resources on the Central Grasslands Roadmap Initiative website. I want to be the first to acknowledge that the roadmap website is challenging to navigate, but there are a lot of resources related to data and decision support tools that the broader biome-wide grassland conservation community has been developing. And just to provide a bit of a teaser, the Central Grasslands Bird Working Group has spent the last 3 years working on a decision support tool, combining multiple sets of grassland bird data to help be able to prioritize conservation on the ground. And that will launch officially tomorrow. So that will get noted on the spatial resources page. And then the final piece, we are hosting a monthly State of the Biome Symposium series. The month of May, we will focus on collaborative efforts and metrics collections and tools that have been developed across the biome. That will be hosted May 19th, and that information is all available in the link in the chat. I would note that all of our prior webinars have been recorded and are available for viewing if you are interested. And finally, similar to the way the South Dakota initiative functions, we function through working groups. If you ever have an interest in being part of or participating in any of the working groups of the roadmap, please reach out. Don't be shy. These are open to everyone, and we hope to build a longer table for some of these dialogues. And with
Great.
that, thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Maggie. And I just want to emphasize that, yes, we know that the Grasslands Initiative is going to host at least one node, but it's November, and it might be great if people don't have to travel around the state. Or maybe you're sick of having to go to Rapid City and these big city hubs, and you want to put one on in your community and make people come to your town. We'd love to have you host a node. So if you're interested in that, please fill out this form, and then Maggie will relay that to us so the initiative can kind of help promote your node as well. With that, Steve, looking forward to learning about Private Lands Day.
Thanks, Laura, and thanks everybody for allowing us the time to get on and share about Private Lands Partners Day coming to Fergus Falls, Minnesota, not in South Dakota, but close. And we do realize that we've got a direct conflict with NatGLC's bus tour going on the same dates, and would apologize for that. But we had to take the dates that the venue had available that got us out of the next federal fiscal year after a challenging Private Lands Partners Day in 2025, Virginia. But Partnerscapes is a landowner-led organization that works on issues of partnerships, relationships, and communication from a landowner perspective all across the country. And our Private Lands Partners Day usually draws attendees from about 30 different states, usually about half landowners, about half people that work with landowners. And we do a lot of sharing and learning and celebrating the great things that people get done locally together across perspectives. We have on our board, we have, and I point out our board director, Jim Falstick. I saw his name on the call, and board apprentice AJ Munger. Thank you for all you do for the organization. But we do a lot of we do a field tour as a part of Private Lands Partners Day, looking at work on private lands going on with partners immediately adjacent to whatever site we meet. We meet in a different state every year. We were in South Dakota in 2011, so it's been a while since we've been close. But it is an excellent opportunity to meet with other landowners and other partners that are doing similar types of work in a broad variety of settings all across the country. As we've learned over the years, the challenges and the opportunities have a lot of similarities, even though the communities, the production systems, and the natural resources are different everywhere you go. So I've dropped some information in the chat, links to us, links to registration. It's September 22nd through the 24th, and also our National Partnerscapes Conservation Network that connects landowners and landowner partners who are engaged in collaborative efforts all across the country to share challenges, successes, and lessons learned. So I'll wrap her up there, Laura.
That's perfect. Thank you so much for both speaking and adding the links in that I put in the notes. So if anyone wants to dig into those links, go ahead. All right, next on the agenda, we have Sandy telling us about the A&R program. Well, is Sandy with us? If not, can I throw Eric on the spot to give a quick recap of kind of what last year's program looked like and what people should be aware of if they're interested in doing it this year?
Yeah, you bet. Hello, everybody. So we're kicking off the second year of the Ag and Natural Resources Connections course, which will run from about June through August. Last year we had, I think it was approximately 13 attendees. And this year we're looking to do upwards of, I think, around 20. So registration is open right now, and I encourage anybody who's interested in, either learning more or signing up for the course to reach out to anybody on the A&R Connections Planning Committee, myself, Sandy Smart, and others. It's a really good opportunity for people that are kind of new or wanting to learn more about agriculture in South Dakota and how to apply that to your position. Give you the confidence and the knowledge to start up conversations with landowners, build those relationships, and better understand the challenges that they go through in a given year. So if anybody's interested, they can reach out to, like I said, myself or Sandy or anybody else on the planning committee and learn some more. So that's what I got right now.
And what was the deadline for the registration?
That's a good question. I don't recall off the top of my head. Let me search for it and I'll put it in the chat once I find it.
Sounds great. Thank you. And I'm sure that if you're interested in learning a little bit about it from somebody who's been through it, Eric or Sandy could maybe give you a list of who participated last year so you could visit with them too. All right, Jeff. Oh, Jeff is here. Jeff, are you ready to talk?
Sure am.
All
Jeff
right.
Zimprich, with the Grassland Coalition, also sit on the board of directors for the initiative. But anyway, I was going to talk to you a little bit about the Party on the Prairie. So if you were with us and around and paying attention last year, we held 2 Party on the Prairies. It's kind of being funded through the Where Good Things Grow agreement that the Grassland Coalition has with the USDA Natural Resources Conservation Service. So a big shout out to NRCS for helping us do this work. Last year's Party on the Prairies were really focused on leadership. So we were trying to get local leaders, state leaders, federal leaders there to just learn more about grasslands and challenges. And we were successful with both of them. This year, we're planning another event, but it's going to have a little different focus. It's going to really be for the general public, adults and kids. We are still in the planning process of it, but today I just want you to know we have a date set. That's August 22nd of 2026. It will be at Gooder State Park. That is firmed up. We know that Megan and the Birdwatchers, performing group that sang the Where Good Things Grow Grassland song and video, are going to be there to perform. And we hope to just have a lot of good education for adults and children about grasslands and what they all give us and why we should care about them. So you'll hear more. We'll get more of you involved. We've got a small planning group that's going to meet soon. And once that work gets done, then we'll continue to get more and more people involved, and would love to have a lot of help from many of you to make this be a great success. So more information to follow.
Put it on your calendar and don't schedule anything else on that day if you think you can make it over. So, date is Saturday, I believe, August 22nd at Dakota State Park.
Correct.
Next item on the agenda then, Tom Shea about the Grazing Lands tour.
Hey everyone, just wanting to remind that we have our bus tour coming up September 23rd and 24th based out of Sioux Falls. I'm going to a couple ranches. Actually, we're going to go to Jeff's ranch, I believe, as one of the tours that will cover both South Dakota, Minnesota, and Nebraska. We also have our grazing toolbox workshop coming up in Manhattan, Kansas, and I told the South Dakota Grasslands board that if you guys think Manhattan, Kansas is far away, it is 4 miles closer to Sioux Falls than Rapid City is. And then the other thing that we have on our website, and I'll throw the link in here, is if anyone has events coming up on our events page, we have a submit events that we'll put on our calendar that has a national audience that we can share out there as well. That's all I got.
Awesome. Sorry, I just have to finish typing before I can mentally speak. Alrighty. Well, thank you very much, Tom. And yes, if you put those links in, we'll make sure we get those over. All right, next one. Grace, thank you so much for informing us about the Whooping Crane Chronicles. And I do have it linked on the agenda for anyone who wants to look at it as she's speaking. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited to be here and talk to you guys a little bit about this project. So yeah, we have an upcoming project called Pedaling the Whooper Highway. It's an umbrella sub-project out of the Whooping Crane Chronicles that Mike Forsberg, who is a conservation photographer, is working on. So I work with Plat Basin Time Lapse. It's a storytelling company based out of Nebraska. Um, but we're co-founded by Mike Forsberg, and he has been photographing and studying whooping cranes for a long time, as well as the habitats that they rely on. And so he is embarking on a 2,500 mile bike trip starting in the Texas Gulf Coast and ending up in central Saskatchewan in Canada. And that route is slated to go through central South Dakota as well as North Dakota. It'll be going right through the heart of the Great Plains. And I have a few other links that I can drop in the chat in a few minutes once I'm done. We have a detailed route map that I can share out, as well as, yeah, a link to our website with some more information about that. Um, but Mike is doing this project with his buddy Andy Caven, who is born and raised in South Dakota, so that's his home state. And they're very excited to kind of connect communities through this project and kind of showcase the importance of preserving native grasslands, wetlands, habitat, and things of the like. And so we're hoping to create a short film out of this trip, as well as set up some community outreach and like pop-up events along the route. And so I have on this link that I'll drop in the chat, I have a few places highlighted that they'll be going through, most notably in South Dakota. They'll be going through either Pierre or Aberdeen. Not totally sure yet because their route is subject to change. And then in North Dakota, they'll be passing through Bismarck for sure. And both of those places, they'll be stopping for a rest day there. So they'll be there for a longer amount of time and looking to get involved with local communities. So if you have any friends in that community, any local businesses who you think might be interested, you're more than welcome to share our website. If you're interested in getting more information, there's a contact form at the bottom of that website, and that goes directly to us so we can answer any questions you have or send you any materials that you might be interested in. We have some flyers and posters and postcards if you're interested in sharing those out with your communities as well. And yeah, thank you. So I will go ahead and send that. And if you have any questions, I can drop my email as well. And you're more than welcome to send me an email and I can help with anything.
Thank you. And one of the things that came up during our call the other day is if you have a great spot for them to pitch a tent, or if you have like a Airbnb or a spot for them to be able to sleep on their travels, if you look at the route map and notice that, reach out to Grace. Would that be a person, can they reach out to you if they have something that might be available? Okay.
Yes, yeah, they can go ahead and email me and we can set that up.
Great. All right. Thank you very much, Grace. Appreciate you joining us. Next item on the agenda is Joe on to talk about the tour coming up. Otherwise, was Pete, do you want to cover that for Joe?
Yeah, I can do that.
Fill 2 spots and you get twice as much time.
Oh, that's not good. I'm gonna try something here.
Oh, we can
I don't know.
see you and hear you now.
Hey, I got it fixed. Yeah, that's cool. Starting with the Good, Bad, and Ugly tour. Some of you are familiar with that, but that's something that Joe works with South Dakota Game Fish and Parks and the Cottington County and Grant County weed supervisors to put on every year. This year they're going to the Rehites area at the Lochner Ranch. I'm just getting the trying to find what I sent out this morning in that regard. There we go. So it's at the Lochner Ranch. It'll be kind of a short day, 10 to 3. I put it out on the South Dakota Grass Info listserv. So if those of you that receive that, please share that around. Usually that tour is pretty fun. They focus on things. Mostly it's sponsored by the weed soups so that people learn what not to spray. And they really focus on native plants. They focus on different colors. Just it's kind of a great intro to Plants Day or a refresher. And then I know on the Lundgren Ranch in particular, they're going to be um, some opportunity for looking at some Native American cultural artifacts and things like that. So it's supposed to be a pretty, I think they're really planning a pretty fun day. Sack lunch is provided, and it's one of those typical days where they'll meet and probably load up on flatbeds or pickups to get to where they're going to go for the day with lunch. Like I said, lunch provided. Um, Beyond that, Joe Blastic is taking registrations. He's kind of really looking to hopefully get registrations in sooner than later there so they can plan. And he can be, I'll put his contact in the chat. Unless Laura, I don't know if you want to put it right in the notes here, but I'll certainly put it in the chat as well. So,
I can dig that up, Pete, if you want to move on to the next item.
okay, so the next item, I'll finish that. I'll finish this chat when I get done. The next item is more of an FYI item. Laura and I have been kind of working to inform not only the leadership of the Grassland Initiative, but all of the subcommittees that we are essentially here in South Dakota going to work with NRCS and FSA over the next month or so to revisit the concept of getting prescribed fire allowed within the primary nesting season for CRP management. There's a whole host of reasons. Grassland establishment, weed control, safety is the primary one, weather change, kind of changing weather patterns, ecological effect on the grasslands and the target objectives, etc. So this is nothing new at all. But it's been 12 years since we kind of made a formal push for this. FSA and NRCS are very much on board and wanting to try to get this through at the national office. So on July 1, I've sent out specific invitations to this meeting. It'll be at the Huron building or at the federal building in Huron on July 1 at I think 1 p.m. It's certainly not a closed meeting. But also I want to just kind of preface this whole thing with this isn't, there's no dissension here. There's no, that we don't have to convince NRCS or FSA or all of the partners that this is necessary. It's more a revisiting of strategies and helping FSA determine what are the best strategies going forward that they can, that we can either work through here in South Dakota, specifically, or that they can package and pitch to FSA National if necessary. So that's kind of a short synopsis. If you've got any questions about that or want to be involved in that meeting, certainly just email me and I can extend the invitation. I'm not really sure how many people that room holds, but I think we'll be fine. So I'll put my contact and Joe Blastic's in the chat. And I think with that, Laura, that's about all I got.
Fantastic. Thanks, Pete.
Bet.
All right, I'm going to put Judge on now to talk about the bird tour. It does look like we've got some time, so if you have some updates, please throw them in the chat or feel free to just come off mute soon for those. Go ahead, Judge.
So first of all, the one thing we didn't put on here is the grazing workshop, which Pete's involved in, which will be June 3rd, the morning of June 3rd to the afternoon. Think like a mini grazing school. That's not quite termed, but kind of a precursor to the grazing school, kind of some introductory topics. And they did this last year in the Leola area, and it was quite successful, well received, so we're moving it around. So that is going on. I believe it's starting at 9. It's going to go to 2 o'clock-ish, if I remember right, and it's going to finish with the rainfall simulator. But then also, that's when the bird tour will start with the rainfall simulator. And the bird tour is a chance to take people out on land and show a working ranch grasslands that have livestock that birds can coexist. The beans were 2022 Leopold winners. Neil's got a long history with wildlife and has served on the GF&P regional committee, whatever they call that. And for a while there, it didn't look like the Bean Ranch was going to continue on, but his grandsons come back and they're going to be able to continue the ranch on. It was homesteaded by his grandfather, I think, or maybe even his father, but long history in the area. Several awards for what they've done for grassland management and wildlife throughout the area. So, cost to go is, if you're a member to the South Dakota Grasslands Coalition, it's free. If you're not a member, guess what? The cost is the membership, and the registration's online for it. And and also push it out to teachers because the tour is eligible for continuing credits for teachers, and the credits are run through Dakota State University with Christel Baker.
Can you also speak to the stuff sees and the photography class portion of it?
Well, kind of, but I think you could just do it better than
All right. Well,
I mean,
so the outreach work group was kind of brainstorming on this, and one thing that we're going to be bringing into the bird tour is there's an individual in North Dakota. He works for Pheasants Forever, but he has a social media presence called Stuff Sees, if you want to Google it, which is heavily bird photography. And so recognizing that a lot of people who come to the bird tour might be interested in either the photography side of things, or, whether with various levels of skill there. But Seth is going to be doing a photography class that runs kind of simultaneously to the bird tour. So when they get back from the grazing school portion, he'll have like a 1 to 2 hour session, and then we'll be going out. And so the individuals who have identified that they're interested in getting tips and tricks for photography while they're doing the bird watching portion, he'll be available to kind of help them out with that. So excited about that, and please share that with your photography and bird loving friends as well. Just hoping to draw in a little bit extra audience or something new for those who've been attending the bird tour previously. Okay, now round robin. Who else has updates to share out? I had one come in on email. I'm discovering that May apparently was not the best time for this meeting. I think I had a dozen people tell me that they just couldn't make it today, so the recording will be valuable. But Dakota Rural Action is hiring an executive director. So if anyone knows somebody who'd be interested and is located anywhere in South Dakota, their application deadline is May 29th, and I'm happy to forward on the broader information if anyone's interested. Go ahead, Pete.
Okay, I gotta just keep my technology going. I think Hanna has jumped off, and she did put this in the chat, but it says you gotta open round robin here. On June, sorry, it's not right. Yes, June 16th. I just want to recap that there'll be a grassland restoration tour at the Don Butzer pasture down by Beersford. Contact Kenna for more information on that. Like I said, it's in the chat, but it's kind of a cool, we don't get a lot of opportunity to do grassland restoration on cropland in kind of the heart of the South Dakota cropland zone. And that is very, high quality cropland that they decided to put back into grass. So you might want to take that tour in if you're available that day. The other thing that I wanted to mention, I don't know if it got mentioned yet here. I came on a little bit late, but we are hosting a landowner agency prescribed fire training workshop in the Oneka area next week on the 19th. 19th up in that region. I posted that to the SD Grass info. But if you're wanting to take in, we're gonna have classroom and field exercises that day, including live fire if the weather allows. So if you've never taken this class or need this class for job approval authority or just curious, it's open to everyone. So Email me if you're interested in more information on that, and I'll get you the info. But again, that's next Tuesday, the 19th at Oneka.
Great.
That's it.
Emily just threw something in the chat, but do you want to tell us anything about it, Emily? Or just, we can read it out loud, but Rangeland Days.
So South Dakota, our SDSU extension, South Dakota Society for Range Management, the Butte and Lawrence County Conservation Districts, and the Natural Resources Conservation Service are all hosting the I think it's the 42nd annual Rangeland Days and 21st annual Soils Days in Belfouche, June 8th or 9th and 10th this year. So if you've got young kids, sign them up. They come out and learn about plants and soils and all the good things.
Thanks.
And we should have ice cream as a thing to bring you there. So registration and all that is in that link that I put in the chat. So thanks.
Thank you. All right,
Oh,
Chris?
also we have continuing education credits and grad credits available for that event as well for teachers or whoever needs them.
Okay. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, Chris Dozark with the South Dakota Department of Ag and Natural Resources. Just updating everybody on the Riparian Buffer Initiative. We received an additional $8 million this year through the state legislature. So just wanted people to know that the project's been going really good. We spent $3 million in the Big Sioux on House Bill 1256 from 2021. Got an extra $7 million of ARPA funding, so we're got $10 million, and then plus that the other $8 million. So we're gonna hopefully spend $18 million on riparian buffer initiative, our riparian buffer initiative. And one other thing I want to mention is that the Section 319 applications are due October 1st. That's funding we get through the EPA for work on non-point source conservation projects. So got 7 or 8 active projects in the state right now, and just wanted everybody to know that. So thank you for your time.
Thanks for letting us know, Chris.
Yep.
Other updates? Because I'll remind you while we've got a pause, we also have an events page on the Grasslands Initiative website, so please feel free to submit events there. So we can kind of, especially when you're trying to map out if you're going to be putting on an event, see what else is happening and where in the state. All right, if there are no other updates, we'll move into networking time in just a minute. Quick reminder, the next quarterly partner meeting will be Monday, August 17th. The Zoom link is on there. If you filled out that form that I talked about at the very start of the call and marked the box that said you want virtual calendar updates or invites, you'll be getting a calendar invite for that too. So in August, we'll meet virtually. Around that time, there's also going to be the Private Lands Biologist Forum events regionally around the state. So if that's something that you're involved in, we figure you'll be traveling for that. So the August one will be virtual. And then in November, instead of a quarterly partner meeting that's formatted in this way with the updates, we'll depend a little bit more for our newsletter for the update part, and we'll be doing the in-person gathering aspect with the Central Grasslands Roadmap nodes. The number of those will be dependent on how many people fill out that form for Maggie and express an interest in hosting one. And even if your space is limited, and you can just take, 10, 15 people in one spot, that's great. We'd love to have different nodes around the state just to help get more people there. And with that, we're going to move into the breakout rooms. So I'm thinking we'll probably spend about 15 minutes. This is a chance to meet some different faces around the state. There's a question, a prompt that if you want it, you guys are absolutely welcome to discuss it. Or if you start doing introductions and want to take the conversation in a different direction, the sole point is just helping you network and meet other people around the state. So if you're going to stay on for those, I'll be putting you into rooms really quick. If you're not going to stay on, feel free to jump off, and we'll see you August 17th. Otherwise, we'll move into breakout rooms, and hopefully you can turn your cameras on for those. Thank you.